Yo, what it do, family? It's me. Y'all know who I am because I say my name like 3-4 times. And if you don't, it's Nathaniel Belcher, a.k.a. Coach B, a.k.a. I just messed that up. It's all right. Y'all know who I is. It's me and Doc back together. Part 2. All right. So, Doc, we were talking about you putting yourself first. And that's really key, right? Particularly as men, like I talked about before, we're just taught to not do that. Mm-hmm. Like, we're taught to put everybody else first. We're taught to take care and provide for everybody else first. That was a good formula for me up until I realized that my vessel was empty. Mm-hmm. And I had nothing to pour into anybody else's vessel, right? So I love that. I'm at that point now where I begin to put, where I'm putting myself first. Yeah. But for a long time, I did not exist in that space. My mindset was to take care of everybody else and to make sure everybody else is straight. Mm-hmm. But then when I wasn't straight, I was like, hey, all you Negroes that I helped out, where y'all at? You know, what happened? And like a lot of people who are givers, they end up in that situation. So, but that is good. I have learned to put myself first. But it's kind of dope that you're talking about early on putting yourself first. Oh yeah. And I could just see how it. I know when I do put myself first, I always feel better in the end, right? I always feel good about the outcome. And for a lot of times when I didn't feel that way. So I would help people, but I'd be resentful because either I was tired or because I had given out money and I know I ain't getting it back, or just whatever. And so, now I am always happy with the end result because I did it from my heart, right? So let's jump back into this, Doc. So we were talking before. So let's talk about if someone wants to sit and talk to you, how do we do that? What happens?
Well, first and foremost, I've got a website.
Okay.
And that website is ronaldalston.com, RONALD.
And family, I'm gonna put his link right down in the description. So right in the bottom of the video, you'll be able to get straight to his website.
So it's ronaldalston.com. And what you will find within that website are over 300 articles. I have a professional blog as well.
So we'll put the link for.
That's all a part of it.
Okay, so you'll get all that.
Yes, all of that is integrated.
Okay.
And I've written over 300 articles on various subjects that would apply to absolutely anybody.
Okay.
If they take the time to read it. Mm-hmm. Also, in reading one of the articles, there is a place where you can provide your own opinion about what I've written. Okay. Now keep in mind when you're sharing information, you never want to come off like you're the guru on everything that you talk about. Absolutely. What I talk about, what I write about is based on my own experience. But it is applicable to anybody who takes the time to understand it, read it, interpret it, and then put in their own opinion as to what they think about it.
Absolutely. Okay.
So that's really important, and that's a crucial key to really understanding the lean, if you will, of that website.
Okay.
I am what you call a behavioralist. I study the patterns of behavior, and mind you, we all have patterns of behavior.
Yeah.
No matter,
I found that out in therapy.
No matter who you are, no matter what you do.
You got a pattern.
Race, color, creed.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a behavior and there's a pattern to that behavior.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you can identify by admitting your own truth what that behavior may be that's causing you problems. And if those problems have exceeded a time span where you should have worked through it and you haven't been busy enough. You've got to really kind of sit down and say, okay, I've got a problem with anger. Okay, well, anger is a very broad term, and under that umbrella of anger, there are reasons or cousins, if you will, that you can attach to being angry. Mine, for one, was feeling abandoned when I was young, when my mother and father divorced.
Absolutely had that.
Yeah.
Went through that.
But I said for many years I was angry. Nobody really stopped to ask me, well, why are you angry? Yeah. So abandonment is one of them.
Okay.
Loneliness is one. Shame is another. Guilt is another. There's so many things that contribute to your anger. And until you start to feel strip what that anger is, you then begin to identify the source of that emotion.
Absolutely. I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Totally relate to that. When I began to start talking about the things that bothered me as a child, the molestation that I talked about, and being homeless, and how it made me feel, and how it affected me, I realized that was a trigger for a lot of other things, right? But because I am a naturally assertive person and very passionate, it immediately comes off like, you know. Right. So I was like, oh, I got to do something about this, because you can't keep carrying that through your life. You're gonna put yourself in a bad situation.
That's right.
And fortunately for me, I put myself in a bad situation with the right person, who was able to, in that moment, take themselves out of it and say, hey, what's this really about, dog? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, you mean about what you just did? No, dog, because you real angry.
Right.
Okay. And it made me look at myself.
Sure.
So yeah, that's a good point, man.
Yeah. And then the thing about identifying emotion is putting yourself in a position of truth. And let me say that again.
Yeah.
There are things about us as individuals, there are things that have happened to us in our lives that we would never tell anybody. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen. You are housing that truth. And unless you reveal what you've been concealing, you will never heal. Now let me repeat that, and it's very important. If you're sitting on an emotion and you refuse to identify the source of that emotion, you're concealing that emotion. When you open up, let's say, for example, you open up after you make an appointment with me, and I say, okay, what's really bothering you? And you share that with me. Now you're revealing what you've been concealing, and now we can work on the healing. That's pretty much how it works. And there's no other way to approach that. Everything we do begins with our own truth. And if you continue to lie to yourself, you're never going to grow.
Absolutely.
Absolutely impossible.
Absolutely. That is the truth. Yeah. Like, that is the absolute gospel truth. Like, you can't heal that hurt. And first off, if you don't even talk about it, if you keep suppressing it. Yeah. And as men, that's just what we're taught, right?
That's what we're taught.
We're taught, man, it don't nobody want to hear that. And we all going through it. Yeah. So suck that shit up, dog, and keep it going.
Keep it going.
But no, you can't do that. You absolutely have to learn how to talk about that which is bothering you. And you gotta find somebody to talk to that about who has a very unbiased opinion. And that's why therapy to me works so greatly. We don't have to go to our pastor, and there's nothing against that, right? And we don't have to go to our neighbor, or, just our close friend or something.
Yeah.
A therapist, not only can they listen, but they can listen and then give you tools, right? Not just their opinion, they can give you tools.
Yeah.
Your homie, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but I'm saying what you should absolutely do is talk to a therapist, because the tools are what help you get through those rough times. And if you keep living, you know, rough times gonna keep showing up.
Oh yeah.
So you gotta have some tools to help you navigate, and you also have to learn how to do self-care. We talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
Like self-care, Doc. Come on, just tell them real quick what you did while you was gone for 2 weeks. Don't tell them about why you was gone. Just tell them what you did for yourself while you was gone for 2 weeks.
Well, I realized that I was still flawed. I realized that I still had problems that I was no longer able to address.
Okay.
So I had reached a point of no return.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to identify that emotion, really forced me into a program. It's an inpatient program at Rush Hospital, and it's for veterans, combat veterans, who are acute post-traumatic stress.
Okay.
And the acronym PTSD is not something I totally agree with, Nate. And the last word is disorder, because PTSD is not a disorder, it's a condition.
Okay. Explain the difference,
okay.
Doc.
A disorder is something that's temporary.
Okay.
You know, it's something that somebody else may be able to help you through. It's something that you may be able to help yourself through once you identify, okay, what's wrong.
Okay.
And you're being truthful again.
Okay.
All right? A condition is something that stays with you for the rest of your life.
Okay.
But if you no longer treat the condition, that emotion, that trauma stays with you. It manifests, it gets deeper before it becomes cancerous, and then you're out of here. It's over.
Okay.
So I didn't want that to happen. So I put myself in an environment where I could really speak my piece. I could really be in a relaxed atmosphere, because combat veterans understands another combat veteran.
That's important. I don't want to cut you off, but that's important. And that's the reason why I say you need to sit and talk with a therapist. Because again, they understand your language. Well, what dialect don't matter. They understand your language, and they can make you feel comfortable. You know, when you're in an environment and you're speaking about something and it ain't going over well with the crowd, right? You don't have to worry about that in therapy.
Right.
Unless you lying.
Exactly.
If you being 100, you don't have to worry about that. That's why, to me, man, this is so important as men, and we sit down and we talk. Go ahead, Doc.
So it's important to speak your truth. So in that environment for those 2 weeks, I was able to shut off everything and everybody. You know, I was able to get by myself to get to myself. Okay. So we stayed on campus, and I had a 2-bedroom suite.
You was kicking it.
Oh man, I had a flat screen TV. I wasn't answering the phone.
I heard that.
I wasn't answering no emails. My time was my own.
That's important.
You know, I cooked my own meals, and I just
did you.
I just did me.
That's important, family.
Yeah.
We gotta get that, man. Women run off, they get their nails done, they get their feet done, they get their hair done, they hang out with their girls, they had their girlfriend days. But we as men, we don't have days that we take care of us. And I ain't telling you to run out and go get your feet and your nails done. I mean, if that's what you do, that's what you do. But I'm saying, man, as a man, you need to have something that helps you to decompress.
Right.
And I'm not talking about knocking a few back with your boys, or, you know, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that at the end of it, you feel refreshed, you feel renewed, you have a new mind.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Right. I'm not talking about hanging out and kicking it with your boys and looking at the go by you. That ain't what I'm talking about, player. I'm talking about quiet time. I'm talking about time where you get into you, man. It's just, you gotta have that, man. I try to do it now. I'm doing it. I'm trying to do this twice a day. I'm doing it once, but I'm trying to do this twice a day, man, where I take time and I just shut off everything. And all I do, Doc, is I just focus on my breath. Nothing else. I ain't thinking about nothing. I mean, not to say that thoughts don't come in, but for me, I am just really focused on trying to get my mind and keep my mind in a particular place, man, so that I am able to do what I want to do. All the negative thoughts, I ain't trying to hear that. I don't, none of that garbage, man.
That's right.
And two, fellas, here's some things, man. Books you gotta get back to read, man. Turn the TV off. Look at me talking about TV and social media and stuff like that. And I'm gonna be on social media trying to help you all out. But man, you get what I'm saying, man. Yeah. Take time for yourself, man. And what we gonna do is we gonna take a pause for the cause, man, and me and Doc gonna come on back to you.
All right.
Love y'all.